Hello everyone and welcome back to the Baldur's Gate solo trilogy.
I've been looking
In
for
this episode we'll be doing the Cloakwood areas and the Cloakwood mines in addition to walking around Lost for a little while. So I had never spoken to Safana before. I didn't realize she was a party member that you could recruit.
yes, dear.
And she wanted you to go get the stuff out of that cave that we got last episode. And I wanted to see if she gave you XP for doing that. And it looks like she doesn't. So in the comments of the last video, I was asked why I chose Berserker instead of Kensei, and what I think the advantages and disadvantages are of each. I figured I had to address that, put in my 2 cents. It's been a topic that's been discussed for years and years, probably ever since the game came out, which one's more optimal. And I think that Kensei will always do more damage than a Berserker. However, you give up the ability to use armor, which is just it sounds like a headache, to not be able to use armor, especially as a solo character where no one else is there to take the aggro for you. So I chose Berserker because at level 9 the Berserk ability is comparable to the innate bonuses that the Kensei get to hit and to damage. And basically what I'm giving up the Kai ability, which is do max damage on each of your attacks, and I'm instead favoring the ability to use armor. And obviously all the tertiary benefits of Berserk, which are being immune to all crowd control. So in my personal opinion, for a solo character, Berserker is always going to be better. And Berserker is a great class to duel into either mage or cleric. If you go cleric, you actually get the righteous magic spell at level 5. I think it's a level 5 cleric spell, and that basically gives you the same thing that Kai would give you. So Berserker is very popular for doing Berserker clerics. Um, I I don't know. I prefer mages just because there's more utility, and I just find it more fun to do tons of damage.
Not a problem.
So I noticed when I used that Constitution book, I got 1 HP per level retroactively. So like 1 HP per level. So I got 7 HP from taking it because I'm level 7 currently. However, I level up later, and I noticed that I got 16 HP rather than just 14 on my level up. And I'm wondering if that's intended or if it's just supposed to reward you for getting the Constitution book early. Because you can get it, straight out of the gate. You go talk to Jaheira, get her invisibility potion, and then you just run into the cave. Hope you don't die to the traps, and you just take the book, and you can have 19 Constitution at level 1. So that might be the most optimal thing to do, but I really only missed out on 6 or 7 HP. I also spoke to that warrior in the Jovial Juggler about the ogres that I had killed last time, because I thought those were the ogres that he wanted me to kill, but apparently they weren't. I had forgotten where they were, so you see me walking around trying to figure out where the ogres are. I'm still passing up almost all the loot just because I don't need it, and I don't need gold. Another guy in the comments of the last video said that he doesn't really want me to go around and pick up items that I don't need, but it'd be nice if I mentioned where they were. So I'll try to do that instead of, going around and picking up stuff and artificially prolonging the playthrough. I've picked up a couple things that were important that I didn't mention. One of them was from Basilisk in the area that I just was in the gameplay that you're watching. He drops a Warhammer +2 that does also 1 point of electrical damage, and that electrical damage in and of itself is not, super helpful to do straight DPS, but it does bust through stone skin. You don't have to break an entire stone skin before you start dealing damage, so it gives you the ability to cancel spellcasters even though they're stone skinned. And it's also the best Warhammer in Baldur's Gate 1. And interestingly enough, I've noticed that there are 2 copies of that Warhammer in Baldur's Gate 2. One of them is sold in the Adventurer Mart, and then the other you pick up from the Beholder quest. There's a little cubby right after you answer the riddles to cross the bridge. We'll do it in this playthrough, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So that thief outside wants you to give this guy a dagger, and if you do so, he'll leave you alone. And I think you get some XP. I don't know whether it's more or less than the 3,000 you get from killing him. But I had also forgotten about that potion of freedom and the potion of invisibility, so I'm glad I came over here.
Not a problem.
But my primary goal in coming to this area was to find the Ring of Fire Resistance. There's also a copy in Baldur's Gate 2 that you can find, but I know it's in a hidden away little cubby inside a rock wall that looks similar to these. I just couldn't figure out which one it was. I couldn't remember which area it was in. So I looked for a while and I finally give up after a little bit. Because I really don't need it. I just sort of wanted it because I've noticed that I've been hitting myself with my amulet fireballs. Part of the reason why I like dual classing as a mage is because you can memorize scrolls in Baldur's Gate 2 and get 1000 XP per level of the scroll. So let's say you memorize a level 2 scroll and you'll get 2000 XP for successfully memorizing it. So it really allows you to get your previous dual class abilities back right away. So from a convenience standpoint, I think dual classing to mage is much easier, but dual classing to cleric, I've been thinking about, once we transfer the character over, it might be more fun or more optimal to, shadow keeper my intelligence down to whatever my wisdom is and swapping them, so I can dual class to Berserker cleric rather than Berserker mage. I think both would be cool. I don't know. You'll have to let me know which one you'd rather see. I'm also extremely curious what you guys would think of seeing a blind playthrough of Adventure Y. As of recording right now, there's about 6 hours left in the countdown to Beamdog's announcement of what Adventure Y is. So let me know if you'd like to see me do, you know, like commentary as I'm playing on a blind playthrough. And if you would like to see a playthrough of Adventure Y, then let me know what character you think would be interesting to watch. Because I have several characters from Baldur's Gate 1 that are ready to be exported. I mean, this guy is going to be ready in probably 3 more episodes. And then I have a Fighter Thief and a Ranger Cleric. I'm pretty excited for another Baldur's Gate entry into the series. I mean, it's been years and years since we've had anything, and I don't count Dark Alliance for the, what was it, a GameCube game? I played it briefly, and it was fun, but it wasn't Baldur's Gate. Oh, I also didn't mention what that dagger was that I just laid on the floor. It's a +2 dagger with no additional benefits. So it's actually pretty good if you're using daggers, like I did with my Fighter Thief. You can see that on YouTube.
Not a problem.
And you saw me pull out some potions. That's in anticipation of the Cloakwood mines. I personally really dislike Cloakwood in general. I purchased that Stone to Flesh scroll in anticipation of getting the Helm of Baldur on in the city of Baldur's Gate. You'll see what I mean when we get there in probably 2 episodes or so. But I forget that the guy who gives you the quest actually gives you a bunch of scrolls, so that's unnecessary, but really I wasted 200 gold. Big deal. I decided it's finally time to go help Nira. I don't think it gives me hardly any experience, but figured I'd do it.
Now where are the rest of your men?
You there. Stand by my right as a witness. If you wish to.
Away with you, you pompous creep!
Kendall, where did he go? We can't let her escape. Stop the ball. Seconds behind him.
Well, I guess that mage is worth 350. So you get around 500 for doing that, even if the quest doesn't give you any XP. So I guess that's worth your time. So my goal for Baldur's Gate 1 is to hit the level cap, or the XP cap, which I think is level 9 in this game. If it's level 10, then I'm in big trouble, because I don't want to waste that time. But I use Dungeon Be Gone, the mod that allows you to skip Chateau Arenicus. Let me know if you want me to use that, otherwise I can run through that area in about 20 minutes. I personally just prefer to use it because we've all seen it 100 times. Well, everyone who routinely plays Baldur's Gate anyway. And I'm guessing from all the XP that I would get from Chateau Arenicus, if it's all going into Mage, and I use Dungeon Be Gone, I'll probably be level 5 or 6 Mage before I even look at an enemy. The major struggle for Baldur's Gate 2 in the beginning of that game is going to be trying to figure out how I can get so much money, because I'm going to want a bunch of items that cost just insane amounts of gold. And I'm also going to want to fill out my spell book because it gives you experience for memorizing spells, and I'm going to want the utility of having a filled out spell book. Also, the spell Skull Trap from the original Baldur's Gate and all the patches and all that, I know that it didn't stop scaling like a fireball does. Like Fireball, it has a maximum of 15d6 damage, but Skull Trap never stopped scaling, so you could do 30d6 with a level 3 spell, and it was insane. Does anyone know if that was patched out, or is that still how Skull Trap works? As you saw, those Potions of Freedom and that Scroll of Protection from Poison are coming in handy. It makes this area a cakewalk where it's usually a pain in your ass. I personally really dislike Cloakwood, so long ago I figured out a way to make it easy. And you'll see me skip through all the other areas in the Cloakwood, but here all the spiders are pretty squishy. They don't take much to kill them. Same with the Ettercaps, and they're all worth pretty good XP. I mean, you fight probably 10 Ettercaps and they're all worth 650 XP. And then the Sword Spiders are worth 2,000, and the Phase Spiders are worth 1,400. I believe that ring is a cursed ring, and then that scimitar is a +2 scimitar, and it's Rashad's talent. Which I think is the best scimitar you can get if you don't want to kill Dritz, if you can even manage it. I've never personally tried to kill Dritz, but I think he would be a terror. This character might be able to do it at the level he is now, if I drank all my potions and, just went to town on him. I would certainly want the Golden Girdle, which gives you better armor class versus slashing. But we'll never know because I already did the Dritz thing. I grew up being a big fan of Forgotten Realms, and I really liked having little cameo appearances of Elminster and Dritz and everyone else that you see in Baldur's Gate 2. I quite liked that.
My fighters! Kill them! Kill them all!
One of the coolest series that I read in the Forgotten Realms world is a series that one of the books is called Venom's Taste. It stars a character named Arvin. I think it's Arvin, or something like that. But anyway, he starts as a thief and a net maker, and he gets caught up in intrigue, like with the Yonti, and he ends up figuring out that he has innate psionic abilities, and so he ends up becoming a scion, and he was the inspiration for one of my favorite characters in Baldur's Gate, which I had a swashbuckler dual-classed into a mage. So if you're a fan of Forgotten Realms, those are great books. Like I said, one of the books in the trilogy is called Venom's Taste. Oh, I forgot you also get to meet Catterley from the Cleric Quintet. So as you probably noticed, that spider area was no problem with the Potion of Freedom and the Scroll of Resist Poison. I do that every single time I go through this game as a solo character. It's just not. I mean, they don't cost that much. I think the scroll is 2,000 gold or something like that, but it's just worth it to save yourself the headache. And like I said, I always just run through Cloakwood. I don't spend any time here at all. I've tried the wyverns before, but the XP that you get from them and the actual rewards, it's just not worth your time. And they hit like a truck, and they hit you often, even with this setup where you have like -4, -5 armor class. You'll notice here in this fight, something weird happens to me, and I have no idea why my character was disabled. It didn't show up as a tooltip or anything, but I couldn't select my guy no matter what I did. If you know what caused that, if it's a glitch or if there's some sort of status effect that should have hit me that didn't register or something, I don't know. But I made my save versus spell, as far as I could tell, from the feedback in the chat log. But it goes much smoother the second time. Partially because I cheesed the hell out of it. So that's both wizards dead already. So we finally get our boots of speed, so the game is gonna go quite quickly now. I believe that armor is plate mail +1, or maybe full plate +1. But regardless, you get a ring of protection +2 later on, and you're going to want to use that instead of having magical armor.
Not a problem. At ease. It will be done.
I hate them flaming fist pansies. So I kicked him in the head till he was dead.
I had always gone through this game as a solo character dual wielding previously, just because I thought that the extra attack per round was much more important than the damage bonuses from two-weapon style, or two-handed weapon style. But now I'm not so sure. After seeing the damage output, like on a regular attack I did 22 damage to that guy. It's just a crazy amount of damage. And let's say you're doing longswords with the same setup, you're going to be doing, I think, between 12 and 17 damage per hit. So even my lowest damage roll is higher than the highest that you can get with that setup. It's like +4 or +5 extra damage. It's just, I mean, what is that, a 50% increase in damage? And then you lower your DPS by having one less attack per round. But I don't know. I think it might just all come out in the wash. The only major advantage of dual wielding is that you get to use two weapons, so you get the special abilities of both weapons. So for instance, you're doing Flail of Ages in your main hand, and then you can have like Belm or Kundane, whatever that's called, or that +3 scimitar that you can buy from the Copper Coronet guy. All of which give you an extra attack per round with your main hand. That'll make Flail of Ages significantly better. Otherwise, you can have Crumb Fair or something that improves your base stats in your left hand.
Help us, please.
But I honestly don't think it's a significant change in damage per second, I should say. Granted, if you're a Kensei or a Berserker cleric using righteous magic, you would want that extra attack per round because every attack would be doing your max amount of damage, especially if you have a high strength roll. So each attack would be doing, 24, 25 damage, rather than the ones that I'm doing that are, 17, 18, 20.
It will be done.
So this is why we pulled out all those potions. So you'll see me chug a bunch of potions. And I also mess up because that blue potion there, the potion of magic blocking, casts dispel effects on yourself, and I didn't know that, so it dispelled all my potion effects. So I had to quick load real fast to fix that, because it's pretty important to have those potion effects. If you've watched either of my Servok fights on my other playthroughs, potions are just so strong, and they're the difference between getting just demolished by Servok or killing him in an instant. Hey, you see right there, I got 16 HP rather than the 14 that I was getting throughout the last two videos. you saw right there, dispelled all my effects. The one I was especially sad to see go was the Oil of Speed, because those are fairly uncommon in this game, and they increase your damage per second by, well, in my case, 33%. Or no, it's an additional 50% on top of my 2 attacks per round, because it's giving you a third.
It will be done.
So it's an increase of 50%. So this is a strat I learned soloing Icewind Dale. If you're having a lot of trouble, like if you're surrounded by enemies or you have no way to run away from enemies, you just drink a bush of invisibility and then you just chug away until you're back to good health. I always thought those battle horrors were undead, but they're actually enchanted suits of armor. And as you saw, Deviorn had no chance.
You have dealt a
So there's some good loot in this area. I don't need any of it. You'll probably want some, particularly if you have a spellcaster. There's some good scrolls in there.
Help us, please.
But I think with that, I'm going to let the video play out. That's essentially everything I wanted to show in this video. That robe is the robe of the evil Archmagi. I think it sells for around 10,000. I know you have to buy it for 12,500 gold. So it's good to pick up even if you don't have evil mages, because it's just worth so much money. Alright, well, thanks for watching.